Wherever you wanna go, just what? We'll find a place for you.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys, for joining. Well, we talked about it. We're going to try to talk about the different, more financial aspects of traveling, being how you can find cheaper flights, cheaper stays, what you guys think about the different ways you can manage to go around the city, mainly like most attractive city where a lot of tourists, there is a lot of tourist traps. We all know all this coming up with the travel industry. So getting around this subject a bit. But I wanted to ask you a question. Obviously, like there is going to be a lot of different statistics that are before all the COVID and the 2020 crisis in general. But what before COVID, what was the most cities? Not most cities, most countries visited in in Europe. What do you guys think?
Portugal?
I'd say France.
Uh-huh.
I think from what I know, but I was in the language travel industry, so I would say England, but I don't know if England would be correct because people are going to learn English there, so it's a different concept rather than tourism.
Yeah. Well, you guys found the like kind of top four, like basically the most visited, like we're talking about like per nights people actually stayed. So the country where more people, the most people stay was Spain in first. So like in 2019, there was like 299 million nights spent by like foreigners, and then followed by Italy and France. But that's different statistic because it's per night, and basically if you take it like the most visited countries that people are like the number of people, yeah, you were right, Noah, it's France actually in first, and then Spain, and then Italy. So yeah, there are a little bit of difference. So it makes sense that like people are staying a bit longer in Spain actually than that what transcribes, and also. Because we talked about the fact that we are finding cheaper destinations. Like Spain and Portugal, we know that they are destinations that are a bit cheaper. Where do you guys found like the life was cheaper in general in Europe? You guys where you went and where you experienced life in some sort?
For me, I would say Greece, Malta, and Portugal, for sure. Portugal actually surprised me quite a lot in how cheap it was.
I think if we go to the Balkan regions, I think definitely it's much cheaper. If we go to Bulgaria, to Prague, in Czech Republic, those places can be quite cheap next to the rest of Europe, really.
Yes, I'd say the same. For me, like Eastern Europe is definitely like the countries where like appeal less. Like I'm in Warsaw right now, and like everything's like almost like four times less than what it is in
For
France.
free.
You can grab as long as you can grab everything that is free. Exactly. No, but you guys are right. Still, like putting statistic and unique right in the middle. The cheapest country in Europe is actually Bulgaria, followed by Romania and then Poland. So here we are. But yeah, that attracts a lot of tourists as well. And that's the main reason also why sometimes in those particular countries, that's where you find like the cheapest flights, cheaper stays, but also having some of the tourist traps that we're going to talk about afterwards. How do you guys find like how do you guys find like the some sort of cheapest flight? Where do you guys source them? Like, do you go to how do you say, like comparing websites or some like the website that compare all the different flights and find you the cheapest one, or do you have like specific trying to have rewards from certain companies, or how do you guys find to have a flight that is actually cheap to go abroad?
I will say I use Incognito. And then I see if I can also change
like before you, because if like people listening don't know about it, but yeah, you're right, because if you are searching like 2 or 3 or 4 times the same destination and you're not like in private navigation in Incognito, basically they are tracking your data and just putting the prices up, so you are like in the urge of buying because you see prices rising. But yeah,
so Incognito, and because it's also depending on where you are. So if you buy a flight ticket while your Wi-Fi is in Berlin and you're buying it from Berlin to Malta, then it might be more expensive than if you are in Copenhagen and buying Berlin to Malta. So if you change your VPN address to show that you're somewhere else, then that can also show cheaper tickets for you. So those are two more technical things. Then what I do is I go into Momondo or Skyscanner or any of these sourcing sites that have all the different airlines in together. And then I look at prices. And then what I do is I try to click around on like different days around the days where I'm going just to see. Then I will look at which ones are offered, what kind of airlines that are offering, and if it's a direct flight I can get, then I will go in and check out that airline company's website, because sometimes these Momondo or these sourcing websites, they are buying the tickets earlier to make it cheaper from the airlines, but they have to sell it to this price, which means if you're coming close to a date, the airlines sometimes sell it cheaper than the outsourcing ones. So I double check that as well. I used to make it a sport to find cheap tickets because I've been a student and I've been working for free for so many years, you know. So I am like, I'm really cheap when it comes to flights and don't want to pay a lot.
Yeah, I have to rewind this recording because all of that really is good information for when you're looking flight. It's really
You
good.
know what?
Yeah.
We can make a little how Linda find her flights, and then I will show you online. You know.
No, we're gonna make a competition. Like, can you find a better price than Linda?
I mean, that's all you need, right? Is something like Skyscanner, as you said, incognito mode, and then back and forth to the ones you find to see which one is the best, basically. Yeah.
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 And
that
then
makes more sense.
sometimes it is cheaper yet, and that's also again if you're on a deadline and you have to reach a certain point at a certain time, you know. But if you're not per se on a deadline and you are on holiday, then I will also advise people to sometimes, and this sounds stupid, but take a not a layover, but a few hours in another airport. If you buy a lounge, it can be a kind of a really nice break for you. And some of the really big airports has really nice lounges. So make a bit of just a holiday experience out of it and cut the prices in half.
Yeah, so you can buy a lounge, you mean in the airport, basically.
Yeah, it costs like 28 euros and you have free access to food and drinks and television and newspapers, and you can get tipsy. So you can sit and drink while you're waiting for 28, 30 euros. You can sit and drink all you want and eat and everything. And then you board your next flight, and the flight ticket might be cut in half for doing so. So if you are going on holiday and have the luxury of a bit of time and you want to save some money, this is the way to do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
So deep.
About like
I want to ask you a question. Now, what was I going to ask? It will come back to me. What I want to ask you something.
yeah, actually, I have like pretty much the same strategy as Linda for like looking for flights online. Also, like I like also advise people to always check like prices for round trip, even if they only want to take the ticket for like one way, because usually if you take one way, it's going to be way more expensive, almost sometimes as the price of the round trip. So like if you can just take round trip and maybe with some like insurance or like you can like delay then your way back, then you have like the luxury of just taking the flight when you want later.
Cheaper.
And just yes, cheaper than
So you
what
take
usually
one-way trip and then you take it after, basically.
Yes,
As long as if you're open, you're available to be open to other, yeah. That's that's what I wanted to ask you. Regarding dates, like for example, when is the best time to buy? Because I know some people even buy tickets for a year in advance. I know Scandinavians specifically love to do that. They buy their tickets in June for June the next year.
We get our Christmas bonus and then we plan our whole year ahead. Like then boom, everything is bought, you know. Actually, I heard a tip once, and I believe it to be true, is that it's cheapest to buy tickets on Tuesdays. That's when airlines are putting them out.
Yeah, I don't know if that's
putting them
still
down.
relevant. Like it
I don't
was
know if
really
it's still.
true.
It was before the
I don't know.
COVID. So again, COVID could have changed this. Other than that, I will say if you go under 2 weeks before it's normally within a range of 2 to 3 weeks that airlines raises the price. So before 2 to 3 weeks before, you should buy it. And I have experienced that buying it a year before doesn't really make a difference to buying it 2 months before. Like
Yeah.
that's
That's
not
what I was gonna say as well.
the difference is the 2-3 week month rule before you want to fly. That's when it's starting to get.
Okay. And is there maybe a week earlier, for example, let's say you book it, I don't know, you want to go 4 days not from now. Is it maybe worth it sometimes? Because people, like flights don't have, for example, they might have empty space and they sell it for cheaper. Is there a possibility of these things? Or will it be more expensive because it's early?
There is actually made some websites today. So if let's say that you have 500 euros, you want to spend them on a weekend trip, but you don't know where to go, but you only have these 500 euros. I can't remember the websites, but it's like luxury trips with an airline and a hotel, and they put everything together and sell it last minute. But that's like you buy it on Thursday evening, you leave Friday afternoon.
Nah, it sounds like a yes day. Okay.
Yeah, but that's
If you find it, post it up this website because it's something I'd love to do.
I will.
yeah, you're gonna
Actually,
move tomorrow.
Ryanair before COVID, Ryanair had also like, how much money do you have, and what airports are you flying from? And then they were like, this is what we can offer you.
Yeah, but
So they were like,
Momento is doing it, right? Like you can go, like you can just type like anywhere, like going
yeah, maybe they
anywhere,
started doing it now as well.
Yeah, and basically you have a slider with the amount of money that you want to spend, and they're gonna show you on the map all the destinations you can reach.
Yeah, there's going to be a big influx now once COVID and everybody's vaccinated. You know, there's going to be a lot of traveling.
Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna turn out, but yeah, definitely. Also, that one thing sometimes, like if you don't want to do a lot of research, I found that not to give the prices, but like to give a trend of how the prices are going, if they're rising or decreasing. You can just have like on Google Flights. Google Flights, they are taking like the base like for big companies, so that's always like more expensive. But just like to have the trend, like you can see like if prices are rising or like decreasing. That just give you an idea quickly of what is actually going on. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, I thought you wanted to add to add something. Yeah, well, we talked about the flights, about the stays. Like, well, we are like sending people on a bit longer journeys abroad, so we're not going to talk about like maybe having hotels and everything. But how do you guys suggest people can find, how can I say, like safe and suitable and reliable locations when they are moving abroad? And not for too expensive, because that they can be like
you mean to find accommodation when you're living somewhere, like find an apartment.
I was missing in my vocabulary. Yeah, absolutely.
So I would suggest when you're moving abroad that do a little research before, check out where your company you're going to work for, where it is. And then most of the times I will advise live closer to the company. Now it's COVID time, so again, you're working from home maybe, but if you have to go into an office every day, you're going to be annoyed if you have a commute of 1 hour, 2 hour in traffic, So see if you can live relatively close, maybe even a place where you'd be able to bike to work or take one of the electric scooters to work or walk to work. Especially if you're moving to the south, it's really nice to start your day with a half-hour walk. I mean, it's a new city, you can take different routes. That's super nice. But see if you can live relatively close to that. And then check out that neighborhood, like Google it. Plain Google, how is that neighborhood to live in? You can normally find out what people are recommended, what kind of neighborhoods of Athens is good to live in, which ones are not. And when you have that, then try to compile a message. Go in on Facebook, find groups like flatmates in Athens, roommates in Athens, or anywhere now. It's just if you're moving to Athens. And then write like, hey, my name is Linda. I just got a job in Athens. I'm starting on this date. I am looking for an apartment to move into within the next month. I have this and this budget. I would like to live in these areas, preferably. I am open to roommates. I'm non-smoker. I don't have animals, but like a little bit about yourself, like a little sales text, and then a nice little like photo of yourself so people have an idea of, and that's not to be like, I'm super pretty, please live with me, but it's just to give people an idea of who they're inviting into their home. you know, so a nice fresh photo of you. And that's the way I've been finding my apartments, basically. And people are super nice. If they don't have an apartment, they're recommending to you. And this way you can also write, I'm not interested in real estate dealers. So you're able to save some money by not having real estate dealers coming in and trying to sell you something for overprice.
Yeah, I've been working in accommodation most of my career, but that's definitely solid advice. I would say even better than any I could offer. Really, really well done. Definitely.
Okay, that's a shoulder clap. If
True.
Definitely. But did you guys like still with, because like that's a good advice, and then also like not to like blame people, because there's a lot of good landlords and good people like that are renting their apartment, but of course as in any industry there is always people that want to like go beyond and just try to scam a little bit people. I've seen like the case. I'm taking Malta because I know Malta because I've seen in the groups, but I know that's just the case for everybody else. And I know there's a ton of good landlords because I had one in Malta. So that's not the case, but there's sometimes people that are asking for a rent in advance or not giving them back, or they are trying to scam on like the how do you call it, like the length of the apartment, like not the length but the size of the apartment or the accommodation. Did you guys like had any problem with that? Did you saw, or do you think that it's something that is going away as we are having more and more people like aware of it?
I think it doesn't happen so much in Malta, I would say, especially
No, it doesn't.
when you
That's
have
what I was
small
saying.
countries, because small countries, it's very hard to do certain things like this because everybody knows each other, you know. But with big countries, I'm assuming that this happens even more, especially when it happens. Usually it's a foreigner that tends to be doing something through somebody else, you know. So that is the kind of thing here. So whenever you see, for example, foreign accounts in a place where you're actually trying to find an apartment, and then you see somebody's foreign, he lives here, but they're like, okay, this doesn't match on, or you see his name that sounds foreign, these kind of things. But double check a bit the situation, then I would say.
I will say with what Nick says, like I heard a few people got cheated in Malta, but it was not like they got cheated. It was just that the contracts was not really up to date and maybe not 100% fair. So in the contract, there will state like you're responsible for things breaking in the flat, which in general is quite fair when you read it. But that also means that if the water heater breaks, then you're responsible for replacing it. Whereas a water heater has a lifespan of 5 years and you move in after it's been there for 6 years. So obviously it's bound to break and then you have to replace it.
Yeah.
So small things like that. And what I will advise is that when you move abroad, especially with us, I mean, we have people living in different countries or lived in different countries. So reach out to us and ask about these contracts that you are given. Nick lives in Malta, so he can easily look it through and see if it's more or less look fair.
Yeah.
In Malta, we also have a previous candidate who actually works in real estate, Camilla. She's Danish, and she would be happy to help people find accommodations. She used to be a candidate herself, so she knows the drill. She lived there for 3 years and she works in real estate now, so she knows what's up and down in this. So reach out to us if you have questions. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this happens, yes, what you said, a lot actually in Malta tends to happen because I think people are just worried, worried that the people are going to be careless about their place, so they over
It's
dramatize.
a very fine line.
Yeah.
Take care of my things. What kind of people am I letting into my property?
Exactly. If you just be fair, tell him, excuse, this is a bit, I just want to be fair from my side. Can I not do this? Can I make sure that I have these? And also he has to understand that this is a business at the end of the day. But especially when you have overpopulated places where it's hard to find the place, then the landlords tend to be a bit more cocky because if you're not coming, someone else will. So it's all about being nice, but yeah, it's just worry, But saying that with us as well, I mean, with Jobs Scout, we also have jobs where we provide accommodation included with the job. So the companies we work with also provide jobs for our.
That's a security.
Yes. We have. I think in Portugal, I believe there was a 1 year accommodation included. I think in Cyprus as well, and also the car. Some of them in Cyprus, which also depends where you want to go. We have and the company looks for it. And some of them, even if they don't offer accommodation, they offer an agent to help you find accommodation before you arrive, even, you know. So there's all that as well. That kind of makes things much easier as well, you know.
Yeah. Well, as you say, I mean, it's also like, of course, making a case for only a few like bad apples for every one and every good landlords there are, because like at the end of the day, I mean, I never had problems with the landlords. Like as long as you are friendly, you explain yourself, even if there is a problem or anything, like talking will always go a long way. So
The best thing you can do is contact the HR in the company where you're hired, because most of the HR people, they know, they are local. Just ask them if they would be happy to please read through. Hey, I got this offer on a flat. I have to answer them by tonight. Can you help me read it over? Tell me if there's any red flags. And that's the way to secure yourself. Most HRs would be more than happy to help, you know.
Fantastic advice. Yes, definitely.
And Noah, did you have like any like issue in Poland or something? No, or does everything run
No,
smoothly?
actually, like I never had like any issues with like flats or whatever. Mainly because like when I was working, for example, in my previous internships, like I was helped actually by HR, and like they were like the one that are saying, or even visiting sometimes for me, because of like, okay, they're asking me to send the money, but like I don't want to send any money before someone like visited the place, just to make sure. So like I've always like been helped by people there, and then they were like, oh, actually no, it's okay, like it's actually pretty nice neighborhood, like it would be nice to live there. So I like only had like good experience about that flat. So yes, like Linda and Nick said, I think like just try to get help. That's the only way to not get scammed or have bad experiences.
And do a lot, I think, as well. And send out a lot of, you know, check out, you know, not one and then check that one, and then if that doesn't work out, now you have to start from the beginning. Check a lot and send them which one you think is best, you know, and don't be afraid to send out, you know, because sometimes people maybe think too linearly and think that okay, this one, and you know, just
And
send.
also maybe don't expect that you can get what you get at home. I mean, you're moving to a new country for a new experience. So no, the furniture, if you come from Scandinavia, no, it's not going to be Scandinavian design when you move to the south. It's not, you know, it's not going to be brand new furnitures in a rental apartment, but there are furnitures and there are ways you can cheap get around it. Buy a blanket, throw it over the ugly color sofa if you don't like it, you know, put up your own picture on the wall. Do small things that then when you deliver the apartment back, you can take all of your stuff and then it looks like when the day you moved in. So in that terms, you know, be open to, you maybe experienced like, oh my God, I moved to this place and I want to be in a rooftop, I want to see the ocean. Buy time, you know, be a bit patient. The first apartment you get, make sure you don't sign for a whole year, then sign for a few months. And these day and times, make sure you can also check out Airbnbs. Nick, you rent out Airbnbs, you're managing that as well. So you know right now many Airbnbs are actually open to long-term rents because we need tourists and we need, so check out that, as Nick says, spread it out, check everywhere what there is, so you don't set your mind on only one thing.
Yes.
Yeah, being open about it, and it comes down, yeah, as you said, just reaching a lot of different opportunities and like apartments, accommodations that you can find. And as we talked about in another podcast as well, I can't speak, right? The reaching to local people, I mean, or the HR of the company or anything that can help you with like kind of proofing and make sure that it's actually a good thing for you, so you have like a security added to that, that's for sure. Well, talking about like when you're arriving, like when you're actually on site in the city, in the new country and everything, where do you guys find, because I mean, especially if you are like in a big city, like we're talking Athens or we're talking like Thessaloniki is like cheaper, but in Portugal, in Lisbon, like in major cities throughout Europe, there is obviously always some sorts of more expensive tourist sorts of traps or sorts of I mean, restaurants, shops, and everything. How do you guys find your way around to find like normal prices, not touristic attractions to pay a little cheaper and find your way around that to make I mean, to save some money when you're moving abroad, so you can have like a little bit more experiences.
I will say the thing is, never go by the water. Down by a waterfront, it's always expensive. Like that's the general rule. If you are by the waterfront and you want to find a nice place to eat that is cheaper, turn up a street or two. You'll go after the locals. Go where you can hear the locals are. Smaller places where the locals are. That's normally where the food is good, because otherwise the locals wouldn't keep coming back there. So if there's locals eating there, that's a good sign. And locals normally can't afford tourist prices, so they also go somewhere else. So if you don't know anybody there and cannot ask a local directly, otherwise post on Facebook. That's a good tip. You can go on all kinds of Yelp and all kinds of recommendation pages as well today. But if you are there on the spot, turn away from the water, go up a few streets and see if you can find a place where you hear locals, preferably older locals, adult locals, 50 plus, 40 plus. That's normally what you should be hitting for.
Yeah, because people tend to be comfortable with like, if you're abroad, you tend to be comfortable to see where you see foreigners, because you're kind of relating to them a bit. But that's definitely not the place to go if you're going to try to find something worthwhile. You're probably going to go there, spend a lot of money, and get a basic need. But yeah, definitely the local concept is a great idea. I mean, that's why you're there, right? To experience something new. Huh?
I think I said this before in a previous podcast, but go to the police station. In the area of a police station, there's always a good meal for cheap money. For some reason, I don't know if it's because the policemen are hungry. I don't know, but it's been like that in any big city I visited. Go close to a local police station and you will find cheap fast food or restaurants in general around there, that area.
Yes.
Sorry, please.
Yeah, and also otherwise, like even before going to the destination, you can like learn about the places on like blogs or like specific groups with people like saying all the good plans, all the good grocery shops you should go, and like yes.
Yeah, well, it comes down to like we're talking because we're French, but there's a lot of groups on Facebook that are like French people in Athens, like German people in Lisbon or anything, and that's we talked about it also as well. That's people that lived or actually is still living like for quite some amount of time. So basically, they know the kind of scams or tourist traps, and they know the better restaurants, better shops or anything, and you can also always ask because I mean there's people that are or were in the same situation as you, so that they know where and where not to go.
Exactly, and they relate to your culture as well, so they know what you're looking for really. I would say as well the ATMs. Look out for these touristic ATMs because they tend to take more money from you, especially these yellow ones. I think they're all around you.
Yellow and blue ones. They take out. They take. I experienced that. They took out. I was cashing out to pay for like a birthday party a few years back, and I was taking out what I thought was equivalent to 2,000 euros. Okay, I turned 30, so I was paying for the whole party. 2,000 euros, and in Danish that's 14,000 kroner. But they took it out as if it was Swedish kroner, which is worth. So they actually took 20,000 kroners out of my account, not 40. So I almost lost 1,000 euros on that.
Yes.
I was pissed, but I couldn't say anything because actually with very, very tiny, teeny tiny letters in the bottom of the screen, it told me that it took out with the currency as if it was Swedish kroners. So I couldn't do anything.
You always use a bank. Use HSBC or these classic banks that they look for.
Or today, I am gonna make a little, Revolut.
Plug for Revolut.
Yes, always. Revolut. Like if you need a link to Revolut to gain a bit of money the first time you use it, please send us. We are sending out links with Revolut in our congratulation emails because it is a free online bank. It provides you also with travel insurance for 12 euros a month. You have a credit card with where you can take out 200 or up to 600 euros for free in any currency in the world. Plus, it works a little bit like mobile pay or any other app transfer. So if me and Romain is out eating, Romain is paying, I can just transfer money to him and say thank you for the meal, Even a lot of stores today in south of Europe have started to use it. So you don't even need to use your credit card. You can just use mobile pay. Revolut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But that's true, because otherwise, like, I'm talking of experience as well. But like, if you don't, I'm using Revolut now, so I can pay like with my credit card, my Revolut card anywhere. But when I was using like my French bank account and my French card, like every time I make a purchase, at least like I was, they took like 50 cent, 50 cents. Yeah, that is it. But that was the very minimum. So if I'm paying €4, I've got like 50 cents just for the transfer of the money that is taking out. So like it can stack up really quickly. So like really being careful about that. And well, as you said, Nick, like if you want to like change money, just go to a bank, like a bank of your bank account or any other bank, but at least not something that is blue or yellow. I think that's the ones that you see it.
stay away from that one.
They look portable, you know. So
You can just steal it, run away with it.
yeah. The thing is that, as you say, that they're not doing anything bad per se because
No.
they're legal, but it's all about the way they show the information to you.
Yeah, and they put these in all small tourist shops. Okay, so you go to a tabac in France to buy cigarettes or any tobacco, and they're there because the tabac doesn't take credit cards. So it's very smart. They're placing them in all these places where you need it. I will say when you go, especially to the south of Europe, always have cash on you, but never have too much cash on you. And never carry all of your credit cards and your passports in the same thing. Leave your passports at home in a safe place, then leave most of your money and your main credit card at home, and then have like a Revolut or N26 or a mobile, any of these small pay as you go credit cards on you, because if those get stolen, you go into your mobile app and you can just block it and freeze it, so just I'm going to be the mommy right now, but just secure you. I'm not telling you to wear one of those cat wallets underneath your clothes, but be a bit responsible. It's not like the world is dangerous, but if you're flashing your Rolex watch and cash here and there, and you're drunk in the street, yes, people will see you as an easy victim. Like that's just how it is.
Yeah, that's true. No, but that's very true. Like I think like all your paperwork and everything. Like as soon as I land in the country I'm supposed to go, like, I'm just putting my passport in my suitcase, and it's never leaving like where I am. So at least like you still have a passport, because I mean not having
especially
like
when you're moving abroad, you will probably get when you're moving abroad for more than 3 months, even within Europe, you need to get a local residence card, and this residence card works as your nationality card, as your ID card, so you don't need your passport at all. I think even with the ID card you would get in France or in Malta, you can even travel within Europe with that with most airlines. Not all of them, but with most. So you really do not need to carry around your passports.
No, that's true. That's a good thing to remember, to avoid like losing all your paperwork, because that's the worst thing to have to do when you're abroad. But yeah, and did you guys like find any like I found like like quite a funny YouTube channel. That's a guy who is in Prague and like in Czech Republic, and actually it's called Honest Guide or something, and it's just like showing all the different scams going on in Prague. So like it's a better.
Prague is full of scams,
Yeah, it is, like from taxes, like for exchange rates, for like a lot of different things. But yeah, that's true. That, as you said, Nick, it's not that they are particularly scamming. It's just the way they're presenting the information, and that's what when you are in tourist mode, sort of, you don't really pay attention because you want to like enjoy.
But that's the same, Roman, you mentioned, like taxis. If you are traveling to a destination, do your homework just a tiny bit. There's Uber, there's Bolt, there's all these online taxi companies, and they track where you're going. So without ruining local business or anything, but even when you go to Denmark, Uber is banned, so you can't do it. But when you go to destinations that have Uber or that has Bolt or Taxify, as it used to be called, take those, because those track your routes. Okay, you know exactly what you're paying for, and those are normally also much more tourist minded, because you actually need to give them online reviews afterwards, whereas local cab companies do not need your review, they just need your money. Okay. And without saying any bad thing about Malta, it happened to me other places as well, but in Malta, the white cabs there, many of them, you hear stories that you pay actually in stands. So you don't pay the cab driver, you pay at the stand. They calculate what the price is, and it's very fair prices. But then you get into the cab, and the cab, it's not like they're kidnapping you or anything, but they will drive you out to nowhere, no man's land, and drop you off and be like, unless you pay me 20 euros here, I'm not going to take you to your hotel. And then you're lost. Yeah, that has happened, but it has happened other places as well.
Yeah.
But it's just in today's world where we have all this technology, use your smartphone, Google it, see if they have Uber or Bolt, and book that, because that's tracking. Everybody always knows where you are. You can even share that information with somebody else so that they can keep an eye on you.
Yeah.
It's just being safe. And you normally save money by using these. They're normally cheaper than the local.
They're definitely, and it's something you know as well.
Yeah. Well, for the people listening, like we're not ranting about Malta because we're talking about it because like we know a little bit more about it, but like it's a beautiful country.
We can do another episode where we can talk all about the good things of Malta, because there's a bunch.
Well,
Yes.
Okay.
But this in general happens to be a concept
No,
about
but it's because like yeah, of course, like we went there, so we knew about it. But that's for sure. Like it happens in every city, like in every country. That's what we are taking and talking to you about, being careful about. Well, I'm trying to stick to the 30 minutes. It's 35 minutes. So like, if you guys like have any other tips, tricks, or anything that you learn to save a little bit of money when you're traveling, or avoid some tourist traps or anything.
I will say when you're moving to a new country, Monday to Friday, see how much you can, and it's not to make it boring for you or anything, but your breakfast, eat it at home, or take an apple on the go, or whatever you would need in the morning. It can save you a lot of money instead of getting super hungry for lunch and then you want to go out and eat a whole burger, and try to prep a little bit. Because those money you would like to spend them on a proper breakfast in the weekends and go and explore something. So see how much you can eat from home. Ask some of the locals, the HR, where there are good big supermarkets. Maybe try to shop once a week. And I know this sounds very mommy and grandma-ish as well. Get 2 big bags and then go to the nearest Lidl or big supermarkets. Don't go to the one around the corner, because everything in any big city, the one around the corner is only for if you absolutely need milk a Saturday night. It is not to buy a lot of groceries because it costs a lot of money. So that's a very down-to-earth saving tip if you want to, live well. And another one, when you are moving to a new country, if you're only getting the first 2 weeks or 3 weeks of accommodation, all right, the next week until you get your first salary and you haven't saved up that much money, rent a cheap Airbnb for that week. Ask some of the others if they want to rent a cheap Airbnb, and then you have your first rent to top on whatever you saved up to go, and then you can get the apartment you want.
Yeah.
So again, try to be a bit smart around that, a bit of planning.
Yeah, always planning. Always do a little bit of research. All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys. That was super interesting, and as always, you had like some good tips to share. So yeah, thanks a lot for joining, and have a nice evening.
Same to you guys.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Bye.
Just what? We'll find a place for you.